It's been a while since I went live, eh? Camera doesn't look that great here. Hey, this is a lesson in bloodletting for Jordan B. Peterson type folks and his followers. I'm going to define bloodletting so I don't get in trouble as if I was inciting violence as a non-violent person who denounces violence. What was bloodletting? Bloodletting was the name given to the removal of blood for medical treatment. It was believed to rid the body of impure fluids to cure a host of conditions. Originally, bloodletting involved cutting a vein or artery, typically at the elbow or knee, to remove the infected blood. Why did I title this live video this way? Well, I was reminded of an ex-girlfriend I had, who went to Catholic church, and, she believed, and her family believed that they were, of much higher moral and ethical standards than I was, and so does Jordan B. Peterson, I'm pretty sure. I'm not talking about the Catholic part, but that he believes he's very high and mighty in this way. And interacting with me, a critical thinker, over the 4 years, is many of them became less religious. And the father of this girlfriend shared with me how, he didn't really go to church or was religious, but his wife kind of had that aspect to her, and he always went. And he ended up taking a lot of leadership roles in the church. And after they separated, because that generation typically was a generation where relationship skills were not taught, or if you learn them from marriage encounter or whatever it might have been, you really didn't learn any relationship skills where the other person has value, there's equality, there's two separate isolates that make a couple, and what that means, the basic philosophy and psychology of these types of relationships. So he said, he told me he never really was a lot of the ways, and after the separation and the heart attack, he was reclaiming himself, and I wasn't inspired by him, because the way he did it was, again, very toxic for me. I was already, before that, try to regain the voice I lost as a child. So what I wanted to say was, one time he was telling a story about going to the Philippines, and telling this is a ethnic, BC Caucasian family I'm talking about. But he went to the Philippines, and he was trying to teach these friends he had about how to start a store in that poor neighborhood, and how that would allow them to get ahead, and then other people would take the lead and do the same thing, and I was, for me, it was sad, because everything he learned, not just in church, but in the capitalism way of thinking that he had, because he got into the financial services and all this stuff, and retirement and all this stuff, as if retirement is on your mind when you're getting a heart attack. But anyways, or when you're when you have to be by yourself, because you're in a culture that didn't learn relationship skills. A retirement plan is not worth very much. But anyways, I was trying to say, well, you're trying to fix capitalism with more capitalism. I think you understand how capitalism has harmed things, and what you're trying to do is teach them to take advantage of it in their poverty, which will create more poverty for the majority of them. And that's pretty much, Jordan B. Peterson is, it's like he's a doctor of psychology, and instead of, he's talking a lot about religious stuff and capitalism stuff and political stuff, and and his way of talking. And I'm not saying that other politicians or other capitalists make any more sense, but he's trying to take the bloodletting approach, and I'm not saying he's going to cut off a limb or whatever, but this is what capitalism leads to in its final stages, by the way. Okay, when the elites that have been pushed up find that there's so much unhealthiness or dysfunctional minds in the majorities that push them up, it's either the system, whether it's consciously or not, just cuts off limbs. So what he's doing, in a way, is as primitive a medical treatment for a psychologist is to recommend to his patients a bloodletting. And it's kind of sad, he's talking about the people that are better linked to reality than him, that are, the loom and gloom dread about, that we have done bad things to our planet, our Mother Earth. But that's what science is showing us, and that's reality. And he doesn't acknowledge that many people get their hope, like me, from people like Greta. And yet he'll vilify the people that gives us hope, the people like us that are more linked to reality and patterns and evidence, whether we are as comfortable in a home with, assets like he has, or not, or choose to live as a minimalist. And a lot of me living as a minimalist at these levels, by the way, is not my choice as much as it's the choice that takes away my hope from other people, right? Because you won't allow me to earn an income because of my levels to be linked to reality, which gives me hope. Reality gives me hope. Transparency gives me hope. Whether I succeed at implementing solutions, that will be passed on, such as just role modeling minimalism, for one thing, passed on to the norm, it gives me hope to be the kind of person that does the right thing. And yet, people like Jordan B. Peterson, Pierre Poilievre, all sorts of silly Canadian or international people, the UN, my God, NATO, the things they say is so outdated. And in those dates, it was still extremely wrong. How could I not be suffering from species alienation when I'm so disappointed from my own species? So, yes, this is the way I'm waking up this morning. And I have some funny ideas about how to lighten up reality with humor and song, as we approach Valentine's Day, where I have plans to, as a solo alone person, to give myself some gifts of love for being who I am, somebody I'm proud of. And I'm not going to stop getting my hope from reality, because it's real hope I want, not fake hope, not fixing capitalism with more capitalism, or this person has a cough, let's give him bloodletting. So again, Jordan B. Peterson, if not for an argument that your common sense would tell you, separate from the College of Psychologists of Ontario, even Pierre Poilievre didn't say the title in the right way, uh, is maybe just say, hey, you know what? I've become more of a current affairs political commentator, a religion promoter, and you know, and shaking the status quo and confusing my followers, that they'll interpret all of my messages that are so many and so incongruent and so full of cognitive dissonance and so kind of all over, and therefore they just begin talking about a topic. They don't really provide a course to follow unless I pay money, unless I'm paid money, right? He's a capitalist prophet. So I guess if enough people believe that to go to heaven you have to become a millionaire and a billionaire, I guess maybe this God will be created. But I think your heaven will be probably in computers uploading your consciousness at some point, and because the technology for you to really create a heaven that you'll define together as looking the same way will be so complex you'll never get it in 100 or 200 years. Plus, also capitalism leads to competition, backstabbing and divide and dishonesty, and so you might be thinking, oh, I'm dying, I'm getting my consciousness uploaded in this modern technological wonder of a heaven that we built with computers, and when you get there you'll find it's so crappy, and it's so not what you were told it would be, because you thought it'd be defined this way, but it's defined another way. And oh my God, I'd wish to just temporarily go into that computer as I'm dying, just to laugh, and then after that say, okay, delete my program now. I'm quite happy to just get out of your computer and be having my you know consciousness end, and then just have my body's nutrients, which I feel guilty about as being part of this species. All of my body's nutrients at the cost of other life forms in such inhumane ways created my body because of the culture that was already in the Anthropocene on a global scale when I was born. That's kind of me. And that's it. That's it for today, a live stream. I hope you understood a little bit of what I was talking about. But beware of false, prophets like Jordan B. Peterson. So Jordan B. Peterson, if your conscience is hurting you and your skin's turning yellow and you're losing your voice, and you have doubts, but you kind of can't do a 180 because that takes, courage, then just at least take charge of your life and end a file with the College of Psychologists of Ontario and just say, hey, you know what? I don't really identify as a psychologist anymore. For example, psychologists don't do capitalist bloodlettings. So I am going to now just kind of consider myself this title, and I am honorably returning my license, just like seniors often did with my driving school when they knew it was too late for them to keep driving.